We start this hour in the Middle East, specifically in Gaza, where 20 Palestinians have reportedly been killed in overnight Israeli strikes, with 10 victims from a single family. That, according to the Gaza Civil Defense Agency. The first strike hit the Al-Mawazi region of Khan Yunis, while a second targeted Al-Shati camp near Gaza City, injuring over 30, according to local sources. Eyewitnesses described the blast as massive, like an earthquake, reducing homes to rubble. Several people remain missing. Residents are calling it a horrific massacre as rescue teams search for survivors under the debris. Let's have a look at what some residents have had to say.
الساعة 12 بالليل بأمان الله، الأطفال نايمين والنساء نايمين والاختيار نايمين، كلهيتهم يعني اللي استشهدوا كلهيتهم نايمين، والأطفال كلهيتهم نايمين، ما في حدا في الدار، لا عنا مقاومين ولا عنا ما يحزنون. وهدهم أمام الدار أمامكم، هذا هي الدار فوق رأس الأطفال والنساء والاختيار. الحي هذا حي سكن مكتظ بالسكان، لا حذرونا ولا قالوا لنا اطلعوا ولا ما يحزنون ولا عنا أي مقاومين ولا أي.
صحينا لقينا المنطقة كلها دمار، جيناهم كلهم شهداء، فيش إصابات، كله شهداء، وبلغت الأولاد والأيديهم يعني من الضوء زي ما أنتم شايفين.
Well, joining us is Ali M. Abushbak, a Middle East affairs researcher who is joining us from Cairo. Ali, thank you very much for being here to speak with us. There has been a lot of diplomacy surrounding a potential Gaza ceasefire, and we will come to that shortly. But first, further attacks in the Gaza Strip being reported coming from Israel, with ministries and officials saying that dozens have once again died. How devastating is the situation currently on the ground for civilians living in the Gaza enclave?
Thank you, Joshua, for having me again. The thing is, the situation in Gaza is volatile, while there is several of casualties from Gazan civilians, and as well as the day before yesterday, there is 5 Israeli soldiers have been killed in ambush in the northern part of Gaza in Beit Hanun. At the same time, when Benjamin Netanyahu is visiting the White House in America and meeting the president of America, Donald Trump. By the way, Joshua, it's a situation on the ground as well as it's a horrific. Yesterday at night, Israel have been targeting Khan Yunis, the governorate, and the governorate is bearing the brunt of the IDF strike and attacking the tent of displaced people and shelterless people in Khan Yunis. More than 20 civilians, most of them women and children, in Khan Yunis and in the Ashati refugee camp in Gaza City have been killed. And now, just now, we will have talking more than 6 civilians have been killed during gathering to receive humanitarian aid in southern part of Gaza in Rafah. Most of them also civilian have been gathering in the humanitarian distribution zone. So the things is up to now, also the day before yesterday, Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, they are discussed the ceasefire in Gaza, and Donald Trump, he stressed about the ceasefire should be in Gaza ASAP, as soon as possible, and it's required for everyone in not only in America and also every politician in Europe. And we have witnessed also yesterday the French minister Emmanuel Macron, he stressed on this idea, should the ceasefire between Gaza and Israel held, and should be about two-state solution between Palestinian and Israel for comprehensive peace in the region. Things is in Gaza, it's up to now, it's unstable, while there is a casualties from both of sides, as I mentioned, from Palestinian side and also Israeli side. Palestinian resistance represented by Hamas militant group, they are also conducting a strike and conducting some clashes with Israelis that truce in Khan Yunis and in northern part of Gaza, Beit Hanun, Jabalia, as well as worth mentioning that Joshua, there is a 70% of Gaza have been seized by Israelis defense forces, by Israelis army, which just only 20% have been remained to survive for the Palestinian. Situation is completely miserable on the ground.
Yes.
Every eyes going through the news. They are eagerly waiting for that time where Gaza and Hamas and Israel reach to the deal in Qatar, Doha, and everyone is waiting for this moment, not only for resolve the conflict between Gaza and Israel, but also to take a breath from the civilians who was for more than 600 days. They were under the attack and under the trauma and continuous bombardment in Gaza.
Yes, Ali, we just want to state briefly that we haven't yet verified those claims of 6 casualties in southern Gaza at an aid site. Once we get that information confirmed, we will, of course, bring that to you. But Ali, I do want to look at the diplomatic efforts that are being made amidst the difficult situations for those living in Gaza, but also the families, loved ones and people living in Israel amidst the holding of around 50 hostages. Of course, Netanyahu and Trump meeting, speaking over a 2-day period. Steve Witkoff, also on the front of a Gaza ceasefire, says that a deal is getting closer. How soon is it that Hamas takes some responsibility for the situation in Gaza and agree to a deal that has already been agreed by Israel and the mediators who have pushed this deal forward, both the US, Qatar and also Egypt, trying to move Hamas towards agreeing to at least a 60-day pause, given, of course, a devastating potential humanitarian crisis at play?
Joshua, the thing is the Hamas has a red lines that disarmed its group and displaced their leader from Gaza. So as you mentioned, there is a lot of pressure on Hamas and Israel as well. Donald Trump, he's pressurizing Benjamin Netanyahu to accept the deal, and meanwhile also Qatar, Egypt, and some mediator like Palestinian American Bashar Bahbah, the minister of the deal between Hamas when they released the American Israeli soldier. So also all of them, they practice the pressure on Hamas to accept the deal. Hamas last week showed its flexibility about the deal, and they respond a positive about this deal, and some view change, and they consider it as a former change. But on the ground, Hamas is still exist, definitely in the ground. Under the tunnel, Hamas the tunnel as a strategic way to defend Israel and to extend their existence in Gaza. Also, we have witnessed several of pressure from the mediator and to Hamas to accept this deal. I guess Donald Trump yesterday, he said by tomorrow on Thursday, there is a good news maybe will happen, and they will reach out to the deal between Hamas and Israel. I'm so optimistic about this 60 days of truce or ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. And I guess this is the last chapter of the war between Gaza and Israel. And this is everyone's hoping this. Hamas has been completely demolished in this war, and I guess they are going through accepting this deal between Israel, and I guess also after the Iran airstrike and after Iran ceasefire, Hamas, it will show they will play the politics with Israel, and I guess they will accept the deal, especially their pact or their main supporter during this war and before the war. Iran has been accepted the deal between Iran and Israel to ceasefire, and I guess Hamas nowadays they will going through the same stage that Iran has been decided and taking. We have witnessed several of Hamas leadership. They consider this ceasefire, 60 days of ceasefire, as a.
We seem to have lost Ali there, the audio, but thank you very much, Ali Emma Bushback, for joining us. We, of course, will continue to bring you all the updates as work towards a Gaza ceasefire continues and as Israeli operations in the enclave also continue. But we now head over to Europe.